welcome to the second episode of Let's Talk Church Leadership, except that's four, not two. Welcome to the second episode of Let's Talk Church Leadership. If you've already listened to the first episode, so thank you so much for your support. I'm really excited to be able to continue doing this. I talked to a friend of mine about it, and he gave me some feedback on the first episode, and he says, you feel like you sound like you sound like yourself, you sound like you were having a good time. And I really am enjoying putting together content for this, because it has always been a passion of mine to work with leadership, be in leadership, and being able to add my voice and hopefully encourage others through what I have to say, or add value to them, or help you learn and grow as a leader is something that I'm really enjoying. And so today we're here in second episode of Let's Talk Church Leadership. And today's episode, I'm talking about self-care and leadership. Self-care is something I think of, I guess you could say, a buzzword in recent years. At least in my circles, it's something that I've heard a lot about, and it's probably because of the fact that it's something that I'm trying to learn to work on better in my own life. And I definitely believe that it is something that the church, especially church leadership, lacks a concrete framework of doing or applying in our lives as leaders. It's something that I don't think are really taught to do. As far as it comes to self-care, I think in church, one of the things that I was always taught, or in terms of like taking care of yourself, is just to make sure that you pray, make sure that you're taking time to be in God's presence. And while that is good advice, and I'm going to list that as some advice later here, but it is not the only thing that is important when it comes to self-care and leadership. We have, before I get into it, the church has this habit of picking up the hustle culture of that we live in here in the States. We pick up this hustle culture where the grind doesn't stop. You're always having to work. You're always having to do something. And for all the talk of the culture of the world, or not allowing the culture of the world to infiltrate the church, when it comes to church leadership, there has often been little regard for taking care of ourselves, and instead we've picked up the same hustle culture that we have to work and we always have to be doing something. And this is definitely something that I have been a part of, and recently in the past couple of years, especially with the COVID-19 pandemic, I've been learning to work on in myself, because going at 100%, being available 24/7, never taking a break, none of this is good for us. Ultimately, all that will lead to is burnout. We're going to end up burned out if that's all we do. And the sad thing is that is prevalent in the church today when it comes to leadership. We are shown and we are taught that you don't take days off, that ministry is all of the time. Ministry is life. And that has definitely been something that I've picked up on and also been taught, and so all around I have been shown this. And I think it's time that we learn, or unlearn rather, that culture and learn what we can do to take care of ourselves. Because self-care really is that. It is taking care of you, taking care of who you are. And that is really, really important, to be able to rest, to be able to take care of yourself. Because if you don't, like I said, burnout happens. And it's not just burnout. Because burnout is the thing where we end up with no energy, where we're always tired, we're always struggling just to get by, even to maybe do the regular things, to the habitual things, the things that we've always done in life, or we've always done in leadership. And everything becomes a chore, everything becomes hard. But it's more than that. Being burned out and not taking care of yourself also affects the people that you are leading. Because if you never rest, then you never have time to refuel. You never have time to regather yourself. You never have time to learn. You never have time to stop. You never have time to be who you are. And then you're running on fumes. And then all you're doing for the people that you lead is blowing smoke when they've come to you for a hot cooked meal. And all you give them is smoke. And so we have to make an effort to make self-care a priority in our lives. You know, we talk about the two greatest commandments that Jesus gave, and I think we ignore one of them. We whittle it down to love God and love your neighbor. But if we really pay attention to it, Jesus said, love your neighbor as yourself. So we need to love ourselves. We really do need to love ourselves. Jesus was a primary example of this. He took care of himself. So there were times where he got away from it all. When the crowds were too much, he says, hey, it's time to step back. There were times where he spent time just with his friends, just with his disciples. There were times that he went away on his own to be able to rest and to sleep and to pray. And those were things that were important to him. And so if Jesus needed it, we need it too. If Jesus needed it, we definitely have no excuse when it comes to taking care of ourselves. We need to do the same. And so how do we do that? Today, what I want to do is I want to be able to talk about a few things about how we can better take care of ourselves. First of all, we need to set boundaries. You should not be 100% available all of the time to people, because like I said, you're going to end up on empty and you're going to have nothing else to offer them. This is something that I recently started practicing in the last couple of years. I started taking Mondays off because I honestly did not have a day off. I didn't have a day where I just took for myself to rest. And so I started taking Mondays off, and it was weird. I mean, it was weird for me because I'd never really done that. Sure, I had vacations every once in a while, and if I'm being honest, once in a while meant like once a year, if even. But I started taking Mondays off, and it was weird for me, but it was also weird for other people. They didn't immediately catch on. I had to consistently be consistent about it. I had to be firm when it came to that boundary. I told my leadership team, when it comes to Mondays, don't text me about leadership stuff. You want to hang out, you want to go have lunch, you want to go see a movie, go do this, you want to have fun, invite me to that. That's what I want to do on Monday. But if you have questions about ministry, or if you have things that you want to talk about when it comes to the church, it can wait till Tuesday. And so, yeah, it was really odd for people, and people did like send me text messages and things. And, I wasn't trying to be rude, but I told them, if you text me, I'm not going to answer. That was my boundary. If it's ministry stuff, I'm not going to answer. And so, yeah, it took time for people to get used to it, but eventually people did get used to it. I even in fact had people telling me, I was going to contact you yesterday, but I remembered it was your day off. And I'm like, thank you. Yes, please. We have to set those boundaries. We have to have a guarded space for ourselves. That means we have to be able to take some time for a Sabbath. Jesus said that the Sabbath was made for man, for us to enjoy, for us to take time in, for us to rest in. And so we need to be able to do that. Mondays are my Sabbath. You should take a Sabbath for yourself too, whether it's a Saturday, it's a Monday, whatever day of the week works for you. And if it doesn't work during the week, maybe your Sabbath can be a certain time of day where you come home and that's it. You turn off your phone for messages. You turn off for unless it's an emergency, Um, and that can be for you. But we have to set these boundaries. We have to be consistent. Otherwise, people won't respect it. If you don't respect it, and you're constantly saying this is my day off, but then you're still answering emails, you're still talking to people, you're still doing things. And if you don't respect your time, neither will other people. The second thing is we need to give things away when it comes to ministry. You cannot do it all. I cannot do it all. And I have often been in the habit of trying to do everything. Sure, there are things that you can do, but there are things that you can give away to do for other people. I've always heard in leadership and always been taught in leadership that delegation is key, that the teamwork makes the dream work. But in practice, more often than not, I see more leaders trying to do more things on their own than they do delegating it. They'd rather, they stick to the old saying, well, if you want something done right, you got to do it yourself. And instead of trusting and empowering people to be able to do other things, because if we cannot trust other people, if we cannot give things away, then yeah, we are always going to be holding on to stuff, and we are always going to be doing more than we can handle, carrying more weight than we can handle, and it's going to burn us out. And taking care of yourself, while it might not seem like it, yes, delegating in leadership, giving things away for other people to do is, in fact, taking care of yourself. It might feel like you might feel guilty at first because you're like, well, I'm a church leader. This is my responsibility. That doesn't mean that you have to do everything, though. And giving it away is definitely a way we can take care of ourselves. The third thing is setting time for personal prayer and time in the Word. And I know we, as Christians, as a believer, as a church leader, we know the importance of being in prayer and being in the Bible. In fact, it's something that we say all of the time. And probably more often than not, we nod to it during the week, during Sunday, during something, how important it is to spend time in the Word of God. Yet, when it comes to our own personal time in prayer, it doesn't quite look the same. A lot of times our prayer life or our study time in the Word might look more like our study prep for our Sunday sermons if you teach, or if whatever service or whatever you teach at during the week, that's your Bible study time. And your prayer time, it's praying for church, it's praying for ministry, it's seeing where God will lead you and while all of that is good, it's not one-on-one time with you and God. It's not one-on-one time with you and Jesus. In his book, Mile Wide, Inch Deep, Dave Jacobs suggests taking separate times for prayer and the Word from ministry and personal. So when you study the Word from ministry and when you pray for your church, that is a separate time than when you do it for your own personal edification, your own personal spiritual growth. And that was something like bizarre to me reading that. I was like, who does this? But then I started to do it myself and I realized, it is essential for us, because if I am always just spending time with God, trying to seek out a word for someone else, then when am I listening for the things that he wants to tell me for myself, for my own life, for my own personal life, my own personal spiritual growth, my own relationship with God? When am I looking for that? When am I studying to grow as a follower of Jesus for myself? How can we give out more to other people if all we ever study for is the one day a week that we're supposed to do something? We need time to be able to be with Jesus on our own. Dave Jacobs even suggests separating that time by, when you pray for your own personal time, be at home, be wherever, but when you do it for church, when you do it for ministry, when you do it for study, for preaching, for teaching, do that somewhere else. Do it in another place. Separate it so that you have a clear marker of what is for what, so that you can grow yourself, but also grow your church. And, it is something that I've started to practice. I'm not perfect at it because, it's hard to intertwine something that I've been, to separate something that's been so intertwined in how I do life and how I do my spiritual life. But it is something that I've started to see benefits of. I've started to focus on things and grow in my own personal relationship before I actually go and study. And it is changing the way I preach and changing the way I do things too, because now I can grow personally before I step into my study time for my church. So we need to do that. We need to set time to just be with God for ourselves and then for our church. Because how can we give them anything if we don't have anything to give? And I keep saying that, but that is so important here. Fourth thing is find support. When I said about giving away things, that's also a form of support. But when I say find support here, I mean two things. One, you may need a mentor or a coach. You don't know it all. And chances are there's someone who has been at it longer or has more experience. And even if they're younger or older, there are people you can learn from, ministry coaches you can learn from, spiritual directors you can learn from, mentors that you can learn from. And you might not think you need it. And I thought the same thing of myself too. Maybe I don't need that. I have my pastor that is here at my own church, my senior pastor that oversees me that I can go to. But that doesn't mean that I don't need someone else on the outside that sees things that I don't, that sees things from with fresh eyes into situations that I might otherwise overlook. We need someone to be able to speak into our lives, to help us to grow, to help us see and learn and listen to maybe things that we might be missing just because of where we're at. It's like when you don't notice that things changing slowly. I exercise a lot, and sometimes I look at myself and I'm like, I don't see any progress yet. When I go out or see someone that I haven't seen in a long time, they're like, man, you look so different. You look like you're getting stronger, or you look like you're losing weight or whatever. They see progress that I can't. So we need that. We need that support from the outside. We need a mentor. We need a coach. If you can't find one, I saw this on Twitter one time. If you cannot find a coach, if you cannot find a mentor, hire somebody. And yeah, maybe it might seem like an unnecessary cost, but it will definitely be something that'll benefit you. Another way we can find support is we need, as ministers, we're always giving leaders, church leaders, we are always giving out. But we never have someone to pour in. So that's why we need a mentor. But maybe we also need therapy. And therapy is so important for caring for our mental health. And I know it can be expensive, but there are ways and there are places that you can find alternatives or help where you can reach out to someone to be able to listen to. Because sometimes there are things that we don't see that we can't grow. And therapy is definitely a way. There's stress that's hiding, stuff that we may not even realize, and going to therapy is a place, a safe space where we can grow to find support. And that'll help us to take care of ourselves, help us to understand ourselves better even. These therapists are licensed professionals. You should seek out a licensed professional who knows what they're doing, who knows what they have studied. And I know that not everybody growing up in the church, it's not been something that people have often wanted are focused on, but mental health is key and therapy is definitely a big help. Fifth thing is be with your friends and your family. Something growing up I was always told about ministry is that ministry is a lonely road. And I believed that for a very, very long time. And I saw it, like that was what I saw, and that was what I experienced as I was in ministry, as I was in church leadership. But then I can't even remember where I heard it anymore. Otherwise, I would tell you and everything, but I can't even remember anymore. But it stuck out to me that I read or saw somewhere that said church leadership ministry is a lonely road, often by your own choice. And I started reflecting on that idea and I started to realize, you know what? That is true because I've been lonely. I've experienced loneliness. I felt like I haven't had friends. I felt like I haven't had people. And oftentimes it's because I chose, well, I need to be available for church. I need to be available for ministry. I need to be available for this. I can't go out and have fun. I can't go out and do things for myself. I can't enjoy being with my family because I have to serve the people. And so oftentimes we end up very lonely, very depressed, struggling with depression, struggling with anxiety and other things. And we feel this loneliness, and often it's by our own choice. We make decisions to push people out or close people out, thinking that, oh, they're only ever going to hurt us. They only ever want me for something, and never actually take time to be with people that we love. And then why do we think that there are so many failed marriages, marital problems, marital issues, or that we have no friends? Because we make no time for that. But it is essential to caring for yourself that we take time to be with friends and family, travel with them, eat with them, go with them, celebrate with them, have fun, go out, do things, do life with friends and family, not for the purpose of ministry or anything other than just simply enjoying their presence. Because I've been in that space, and it is a lonely space to deal with thinking that you have no friends or you have no people surrounding you. But we do have people that love us. We just need to be able to make time for them, because they are important too, and they are important for ourselves too, to enjoy life and to be healthy and to take care of ourselves. And if we do that, we won't be so lonely anymore. We really won't be. It's something that I've definitely started to see and definitely started to work on in my own life. And lastly, one thing that we can do to take care of ourselves is find something you enjoy to do. I know that growing up, I often had the impression that people who weren't Christians often viewed the church or viewed Christians as very boring people. Like the fun thing for them to do was to go to church. And, I can't deny growing up, I had fun at church stuff and church events and youth group and everything. But I didn't always have time for things that I love. In fact, sometimes some of the things that I loved were demonized because they took time away from God. And something that I've learned is that God has given us this life to be able to enjoy. John chapter 10, verse 10 says that he has come to give us life and life more abundantly. And I always thought that it had to do with eternal life, but upon studying the scripture a little bit more, it says life, just this life abundantly, more life here, to enjoy what we have, to enjoy who we are, to enjoy the life that we've been given. And so this world that we're in, the world that we live in, the world that God created, mind you, is full of so much beauty, so much wonder, so many things to do, so many creative things to do, so many things to enjoy and experience. And we miss out by not trying to discover the things that we love and do them. Whether that's like exercise, like for me, exercise and gaming, like playing video games and things, those are things that I enjoy, and those are things that I take time to be able to do because they bring me joy. They bring me energy. I'm able to relax and de-stress and just have fun. And that is essential to taking care of ourselves, enjoying life. So whatever that might be, whether you enjoy the outdoors, you enjoy fishing, you enjoy, whatever it might be, travel, take a vacation. Yes, take a vacation. That is so important too. Take time for yourself to enjoy life. Find something that you enjoy and make time for it every day or every week, just so that you can enjoy life. And these are some things, it's not everything, of course, to be able to take care of ourselves properly. But we do need to remember that. We need to remember that we're human, and that we, just like Jesus, if Jesus needed it, so do we. If Jesus needed rest, so do we. If Jesus needed to take care of himself, so do we. We are not machines that can just do everything ministry all of the time and just forever be okay. We need to take time to take care of ourselves. So I hope that this episode today is something that has encouraged you maybe to pursue the journey of self-care a little more. And if it has, or if there is something that you've learned about self-care recently, if you're watching this on YouTube, drop it in the comments. Say what you learned about self-care. Find me on Twitter. Find me on Instagram. Find the podcast on Instagram and talk to us about it. How has self-care or the lack of self-care affected your life? So I hope that this one more time, that you enjoyed this episode. I hope that it has blessed you in some way, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of your week. Bye.